The Hollow One's darkness crept through the small, isolated town of Black Hollow like an inescapable fog. The town, surrounded by dense, whispering woods, had always carried an eerie reputation. Locals spoke in hushed voices of the things that roam beyond the tree line, things that were neither living nor dead. They called them the Hollow Ones. Lena had always dismissed the stories as folklore, nothing more than cautionary tales meant to keep children from wandering into the woods at night. But when her younger brother Ethan went missing near the edge of the forest, she found herself forced to confront the nightmares she had spent her whole life ignoring. The search parties found nothing. Not a footprint, not a scrap of fabric. It was as if Ethan had been swallowed by the night itself. As days stretched into weeks, the townspeople began whispering, their gazes heavy with something Lena couldn't quite name. Pity, perhaps, or fear. Determined not to let her brother become another forgotten ghost of Black Hollow, Lena took matters into her own hands. Armed with a flashlight, a backpack, and an old hunting knife, she ventured into the forest the night before the town planned to hold Ethan's memorial. The trees loomed tall and skeletal, their branches reaching out like twisted fingers. The deeper she walked, the more the air seemed to thicken, pressing against her like unseen hands. Then the whispers began. At first they were faint, like the rustling of leaves, but soon they became voices, soft, mournful, beckoning. "Lena!" She spun around, her flashlight flickering. The voice was unmistakable. Ethan's voice. It came from deeper within the woods, just beyond the reach of her light. Her heart pounded, but she pressed forward, calling his name. "Ethan, where are you?" The forest answered with silence. Then something shifted in the darkness ahead. A shape, just out of focus, pale and thin. Lena raised her flashlight, the beam trembling in her grasp. It was Ethan, or at least it looked like him. His skin was too pale, almost translucent, his eyes dark hollows that swallowed the light. He stood still, unmoving, his lips parting as if to speak, but no words came out, only a dry, rasping breath. Lena took a hesitant step forward, and that was when she saw them. Dozens of figures emerging from the shadows between the trees. Each one was gaunt, their faces eerily similar to people she had known, people who had gone missing over the years. Their eyes were black voids, their mouths hanging open in silent screams. The Hollow Ones. Lena's instincts screamed at her to run, but her legs felt rooted to the ground. The thing that looked like Ethan tilted its head, its lips curling into something that might have once been a smile. Then in a voice that was almost, but not quite, her brother's, it whispered, "Stay." The other figures took a step closer. Shadows stretched and twisted around them, the air turning ice cold. Lena's breath came in short, ragged gasps as she gripped her knife. Her mind raced. She couldn't fight them all, but she couldn't leave Ethan. A sharp wind howled through the trees, and for the briefest moment, she thought she heard something else, a voice, urgent and desperate, carried on the wind. "Run!" The voice was Ethan's, the real Ethan. Lena's paralysis broke. She turned and ran, crashing through the undergrowth, the Hollow Ones moving in eerie unison behind her. She didn't dare look back. The whispers grew louder, clawing at her mind, trying to pull her back into the dark. The trees thinned, and suddenly she was back on the main road, the town's streetlights glowing dimly in the distance. The moment she crossed the threshold of the forest, the whispers stopped. The Hollow Ones did not follow. They simply stood at the edge of the trees, watching, waiting. She collapsed onto the ground, gasping for breath. Ethan was still in there, or what was left of him. The town did not ask what had happened. They never did. The people of Black Hollow had long since accepted that some things were meant to remain undisturbed. But Lena couldn't forget. She wouldn't. Because every night, just beyond the trees, she could still hear Ethan whispering her name.